Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Alice and this is English with Alice B, where you can come to learn English in a clear and simple way, without the stress. So, if I told you, I watched a movie, or I have watched a movie, would you understand the difference between the two? These are two really important tenses in English, and students, for obvious reasons, confuse them often. This is the past simple and the present perfect simple. Both tenses are used to talk about the past, a past action, a past event, a past situation, but there are some really important differences between them, and sometimes we cannot use one and sometimes we cannot use the other. So today I'm going to look at in detail what is the difference between the past simple and the present perfect, when and how we should use them, and importantly, when we shouldn't use them. Let's talk English. So let's go back to those examples that I just used. Two sentences that look and sound and feel very similar, but actually have some really important differences. I watched a film last night.
I have watched that film before.
So what's the difference between the two? Well, the most important difference is time. We use the past simple, I watched a film last night, to talk about an action that has a clear start, a clear finish. It's a specific event. We can tell you when or where it happened, and there's really no connection to the present. We use the present perfect when the action has some connection to the present, some result or some consequence in the present, or when the action is not yet finished. Don't worry if this feels confusing. Let's go into some detail. So we'll begin with the past simple. The past simple, as I said before, is used to express actions that started and finished at a specific moment in the past. We know when, we know where this happened. To form the past simple, it's really very basic. We have the subject and then we have the verb in its past form. And that's it. It doesn't change for anyone. The beauty of speaking about the past is that it's the same for all subjects. Okay? I went, you went, he or she went, they went, everybody went. I watched a movie last night, you watched a movie, he or she watched a movie, everybody watched a movie. It doesn't change for anyone, not even the third person. So we can forget about that S for the moment. Very often we say when or where the action happened because we're talking about something specific. I watched a film last night. I drank coffee this morning. She spoke to me yesterday. The most complicated part of the past simple is that we have a lot of irregular verbs in the English language. Now, if you've been studying English, you will know this already. When speaking about the past, we have to remember a lot of very common verbs are irregular. What does that mean? Well, regular verb patterns look like this. We put ed on the end of the verb, right? I talked, I called, I wanted, I needed, I baked, I listened. That's what we call the regular form because it follows a regular pattern. A lot of verbs, I think in total is around 200 verbs, are irregular. That means that they don't follow that pattern, that ed form that we see. The problem with this is, well, they don't follow any pattern. There's no formula and there's no secret really that you can use to remember how to change each of these verbs. You have to know them, study them, do exercises with them, and then just trust that with exposure to the English language, podcasts, movies, series, books, by exposing yourself to the English language, you will see these irregular verbs being used over and over again. And this will solidify the meaning and how to change them. It doesn't make sense, and I really don't advise my students to find a list of the irregular verbs and just stare at it and try to memorize it. A lot of students panic and think that that's the only way to do it. I find this counterproductive. I think this is a very easy way to get stressed and bored with the language. Look at the verbs, make some sentences with them. Try and write some very, very simple sentences. I made a cake. I did my homework. I saw him yesterday. Very basic things so that you just get into the habit of using these verbs. And then when you read a book or when you listen to a podcast or when you have a conversation with someone, you will see these irregular verbs keep popping up and you'll think, yes, I know this one. I studied this before. Don't stress yourself out trying to memorize all of these verbs. Just trust that with regular exposure to the English language, you will learn them. Now let's look at the present perfect. The present perfect is a little bit more complex in its structure. We have the subject, so I or you or he or she, we, they, and then have or has. This is something that changes. We have to remember with the third person, with the verb to have, it changes. We need that S back. So I have, you have, but she has. And then the verb is in the past participle form. I have been, you have seen, we have watched. Now, with the regular verbs, this doesn't change again, okay? I listened, I have listened. She talked, she has talked. We called, we have called. They stay the same for both forms. It's the irregular verbs that we need to think about. And again, there's no pattern, there's no formula, there's no easy way to remember how we change them both times, okay? Sometimes all the verbs stay the same. I shut the door. Yesterday I shut the door. I have shut the door. Shut, shut, shut. Some, the past verbs stay the same. For example, I make a cake. I made a cake. I have made a cake. And sometimes all three are different. I do, I did, I have done. Again, the best way to learn these is to just study them, do some simple exercises with them, and then keep practicing your English. Keep practicing your listening and your reading and writing. And that's the best way really to remember these verbs. So when we use the present perfect simple, it's because there's a consequence that we feel in the present or because the action is not yet over. Let me give you an example. When I used that sentence before, I have watched that film before. I didn't say when it happened because it's either unimportant or unknown. What you understand is that I have had this experience before. I know this film today because I have seen it in the past. Now, in the present, I am someone who has watched that film. We use this a lot when we talk about travel and places that we have been to. Okay, you can be specific and you can say, I went to Japan in 2014, or we flew to Spain last summer. But if you're just talking about these experiences, as life experiences, we often say, oh, I have been to the United States before. I have been to Japan before. I have seen the Taj Mahal. It's unimportant, or we don't remember, or we don't know when it happened, but the important thing is that it happened. The present perfect simple is also used to talk about actions or states or situations that started in the past and they are still true today. For example, I could say, I have been an English tutor for 5 years. I started in the past, I became an English tutor 5 years ago, and still today, I am an English tutor. This is still my job now. So although it started in the past, I use the present perfect simple because there is a connection to the present. It started in the past, but it's still true now. Let's make a direct comparison. If I say, I have lived in Manchester for 5 years, you understand that I started living there 5 years ago, but I still live there today. There's a connection to the present because I've used the present perfect simple. I have lived in Manchester for 5 years. If instead I say I lived in Manchester for 5 years, if I use the past simple, this sounds finished. It's over. I lived in Manchester for 5 years, but now I live in Barcelona. Okay? In one of these examples, I'm still living in Manchester. In the other example, it's over. It's an event, it's a situation that is finished. Let me give you one more example. I ate breakfast this morning. I ate breakfast this morning. And I have eaten sushi before. I have eaten sushi before. I ate breakfast this morning is a specific event that started and finished, and I told you when it happened. It happened this morning, okay? So it's a specific event and it's over. I have eaten sushi before. I didn't tell you when it happened and I didn't tell you where because it's not important. The important thing is that I have had this experience. I have eaten sushi before. Some time expressions can also help you to use the correct tense. If we use what we call a finished time expression, such as yesterday, last week, last year, 5 years ago, last summer, in 2020, when I was a child, if I use these expressions that tell you the time is finished, then we can use the past simple. If instead I use time expressions like already, yet, just, still, recently, before, in my life, you understand I'm talking about a non-specific time. I haven't told you when, so we should use the present perfect simple. So remember, finished time expressions, specific moments in the past, past simple. No exact time, just talking about it as an experience, or the time is not finished, present perfect simple. We're going to try a quick exercise, and I mean quick, I only have 3 questions. You need to change the verb, but you need to decide, should I use the past simple or should I use the present perfect simple? Let's begin. Number 1, and the verb that you need to use is to go. Okay. Last summer, I to Spain. Last summer, I to Spain. Okay, number 2, and the verb that you want to use is to eat. We at this restaurant before. We at this restaurant before. Okay, number 3, and the verb you want to use is to live. She in this house for the past 10 years. She in this house for the past 10 years. Okay, now let's look at our answers. Number 1, last summer, I went to Spain. Last summer, so I'm telling you when. I've used one of those finished time expressions. Last summer, I went to Spain. The verb that you needed to use was to go, and remember this is irregular. Go, went. Okay, number 2, we have eaten at this restaurant before. I didn't say when it happened. There's no specific time period. You understand that I'm just talking about a life experience, okay? We have eaten at this restaurant before. And number 3, she has lived in this house for the past 10 years. It started 10 years ago and it's still true today. And just remember, the subject was she. So we have to use has with the S. So let's recap. We use the past simple when talking about actions, events, or situations that are finished. They are over. There's no connection to the present. Okay? We can use finished time expressions with these, such as yesterday, last week, last summer, 5 years ago, because these moments are over and we know exactly when they happened. They are specific moments. We use the present perfect continuous instead when talking about actions that are over, but we don't know when they happened, or it's not important when they happened. We're just talking about them as a life experience, something that we have done or something that we have experienced. Or we can use it when talking about something that started in the past and is still true today. It hasn't finished yet. That's it for today. If you found this useful, if you think this is helpful, please like and subscribe. If you've got any feedback or any requests, don't hesitate to leave a comment below, but please remember to be kind. Remember to check the description below for the vocabulary bank in case any of the words that I've used today are maybe a little bit difficult. I will also put in the link for that grammar website that I use with my students that will really help you to keep practicing the difference between the past simple and the present perfect simple. And I'll see you next time. Bye.